we're doing things that nobody's ever seen before. The country is really in great shape. We have a large armada, flotilla, you can call it whatever you want, heading toward Iran right now, even larger than what we had in Venezuela. It's still in front of Venezuela. The Venezuelan situation, the leadership is doing a very good job. We're very happy, and we're getting along very, very well. And we're inviting countries of the world very shortly. They're going to be starting to take the oil. We're going to be heading that with the country, and it's worked out really well. We're now sending actually a larger number of ships to Iran, and hopefully we'll make a deal. If we do make a deal, that's good. If we don't make a deal, we'll see what happens.
Timeline for when you're going to pull back potentially the federal presence there?
No, we'll see how it all works out. You know, they have to float someplace. They might as well float near Iran, but it's a rough situation going on. So I stopped 837 people, as you know, last week from being hung. They were going to hang 830. It was all set, and I mean, I'm looking at the people behind me. They're saying, "What kind of racing's a lot nicer than that?" They were going to hang 837 people, and I told them, if you do it, you're going to pay a price like nobody's ever paid before. And they pulled back. I appreciated that. But a lot of people are being killed, so we'll see what happens. I can say this, they do want to make a deal. There's another beautiful armada floating beautifully toward Iran right now. So we'll see. I hope they make a deal. I hope they make a deal. They should have made a deal the first time they'd have a country.
Tensions in the Middle East escalated sharply as Iran issued stark warnings against any potential U.S. military strike on its territory. A top advisor to Iran's supreme leader reportedly said even a limited American attack would be treated as the start of a full-scale war. Ali Shamkhani, secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, warned that retaliation would be immediate and unprecedented, threatening strikes at the heart of Tel Aviv. Posting in both Persian and Hebrew, Shamkhani said Iran would target not only the aggressor, but also those supporting it. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi echoed the warning, saying Tehran's armed forces were ready to respond instantly to any aggression. Araghchi said Iran remained open to a fair nuclear deal that guarantees peaceful use and no weapons.
There has been no contact between myself and Mr. Witkoff in the past few days, and we have not made any request for negotiations. Of course, various intermediaries are reaching out. Different countries are trying, in good faith, to play a role, and we are in contact with them, of course. But so far, no decision has been made, and there has been no request from our side. Our positions are clear. Negotiation can't go hand in hand with threats, and talks should only take place when they stop making threats and excessive demands. A military threat would destabilize the entire region, especially considering the particular dynamics of America's presence in the region. I think this is a shared understanding throughout the region. The region is completely united against military threats, and everyone believes that instability will lead to major challenges for the region. That's why the countries in the region oppose this issue.
Iran's UN mission also signaled conditional diplomacy, saying Tehran preferred dialogue but would defend itself if pushed. The warnings followed comments by Donald Trump, who urged Iran to negotiate as U.S. forces moved closer to the region. Trump described a growing American naval presence as an armada, led by the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln. The carrier strike group has entered the Indian Ocean and could support strikes or defend U.S. allies from retaliation. Trump said time was running out for diplomacy, warning that any future attack would be far worse than before.
We're fully rebuilding the U.S. military with more than $1 trillion we're spending on the military. And in June, we obliterated Iran's nuclear capacity in Operation Midnight Hammer. You saw that. People have been waiting for 22 years to do that, and we were right at the end. They were about a month away from having a nuclear weapon. We had to do it. And by the way, there's another beautiful armada floating beautifully toward Iran right now. So we'll see. I hope they make a deal. I hope they make a deal. They should have made a deal the first time they'd have a country.
Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio told senators during a hearing that the Iranian government was facing its weakest moment in decades.
Just very briefly, we've heard such differing accounts, and the president has spoken strongly, you have as well, on the deaths in Iran and the horrible atrocities that are being committed. Can you give us some sense of, we see reports of thousands, tens of thousands. What's the State Department's best estimate of what's happened on the ground?
Well, in the thousands for certain. And look, I think regimes, including that one in Iran, have learned that when you start shooting people in the head with snipers, it's effective. I mean, it works, and they've done it, and it's horrifying. And that's what we've seen. That regime is probably weaker than it has ever been. And the core problem they face, unlike the protests you saw in the past on some other topics, is that they don't have a way to address the core complaints of the protesters, which is that their economy's in collapse. And the reason why there's economies in collapse is because they spend all their money and all their resources building weapons and sponsoring terrorist groups around the world instead of reinvesting it back into their society. And as a result, have taken on massive global sanctions, which has isolated their economy and their country. And so that's what the Iranian people are demanding, is that they stop doing that and start caring about them and get these sanctions off them. And this regime is unwilling to do it. So the core challenge is the protests may have ebbed, but they will spark up again in the future, because this regime, unless they are willing to change and or leave, have no way of addressing the legitimate and consistent complaints of the people of Iran who deserve better. On the issue of our presence in the region, here's the baseline I want to set for everybody. The baseline is this. We have 30 to 40,000 American troops stationed across 8 or 9 facilities in that region. All are within the reach, theoretically, not theoretically, in reality, all are within the reach of an array of thousands of Iranian one-way UAVs and Iranian short-term ballistic missiles, short-range ballistic missiles that threaten our troop presence. We have to have enough force and power in the region, just on a baseline, to defend against that possibility. That at some point, as a result of something, the Iranian regime decides to strike at our troop presence in the region. The president always reserves the preemptive defensive option. In essence, if we have indications that, in fact, they're going to attack our troops in the region, to defend our personnel in the region. We also have security agreements, the Defense of Israel Plan and others, that require us to have a force posture in the region to defend against that. And so I think it's wise and prudent to have a force posture within the region that could respond and potentially, not necessarily what's going to happen, but if necessary, preemptively prevent the attack against thousands of American servicemen and other facilities in the region and our allies. I hope it doesn't come to that, but that's, I think, what you're seeing now, is the ability to posture assets in the region to defend against what could be an Iranian threat against our personnel. They certainly have the capability to do it because they've amassed thousands and thousands of ballistic missiles that they've built. Despite the fact that their economy's collapsing, they keep spending money on that.